single definition of what a smart city actually is. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you look around the globe, you will not find a single smart city yet. So maybe the lack of a definition is depending on that there is actually no smart city. But this gives us the space actually to think about it. What do we mean with it? The term of smart cities was quite quickly, I would say, hijacked by companies because, well, we can make some money out of it and sell you some fancy stuff because basically we put a chip into everything and then we sell it to you as a smart thingy. Not necessarily sure what it actually does and if it actually helps you, but hey, we market it in a nice way and then we can sell it. That's not what we do here. What we try to do as a foundation around the globe, and we have, for example, smart city activities in countries as diverse as the Western Balkans, which is the former countries of Yugoslavia, like Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia. We have smart city activities in Morocco, in India, in Pakistan, and in Bangladesh. If you want to know more about what we do in Pakistan, I highly recommend you to talk to my colleague Amir, who is a senior staff member in our Islamabad office. So if you are interested more about what we do in Islamabad, here you have the perfect source. We also work in countries like South Korea, and here you can see the diversity between all these different countries. So therefore we cannot have a one-size-fits-all approach because obviously that wouldn't make much sense. So what we do is to try to work on 3 different topics, I would say mainly. One is education. That's pretty much what we're doing here right now. These kind of settings, that's one thing. We work on governance issues because we strongly believe, and it comes together with the third point of citizen participation. If you want to make a city smart, the only thing you should focus on is not to make it more shiny or whatsoever. It is about you have to make your city or your municipality more citizen-focused. You have to try to create an environment where the quality of life increases, where the life of citizens is made easier, and where at the same time their civil rights and human rights are guaranteed. And this also brings in that when we apply technology, we usually see that also governance has to change. Governance structures, as you all know, because most of you have some kind of political background or are working close to politics. I mean, I don't have to tell you how difficult it is to change governance structures. Yeah? We know the dependency of governance structures, they go back for decades, and maybe sometimes even centuries. And everybody knows, yeah, we probably should update these kind of structures, and probably we should make them easier, more transparent, more easier to understand. And still, you all know, it's incredibly difficult to do this because so many different actors are active in those fields. And then you usually settle on the status quo because you're like, yeah, that used to work for a couple of decades already, but we can just have it the same way. So these 3 are the main issues that we try to bring together. But the most important thing for us is that we as a foundation, our platform, bringing together stakeholders from civil society, from politics and economy. And that's basically what makes up a city. They're not only citizens, they're not only politicians, there are entrepreneurs, there are civil society activists and whatsoever. So you have to bring them together. Ideally in a setting like this, but also in more flexible sessions. And I just want to show you one example because that all sounds a little bit abstract what I'm talking about here. I would like to show you a short video of the Smart City Festival. The Smart City Festival is the Foundation's flagship program, I would say. It takes place in Belgrade, in the city of Belgrade in Serbia. And yeah, I just want to show you what we mean by bringing together different stakeholders from civil society, politics and economy, and how this looks like in reality. And therefore, I have to switch here, and there we go. kind of a glimpse on how our activities look like. So what Sven already mentioned, try to be inclusive. You saw here, we had from school children to 60-plus-year-olds. We're always trying to bring those kind of youth together. And we try to do it not in your typical, let's say, classroom session. And that, as Sven already mentioned, that's something you cannot expect from us here. That's the good thing. This is not a typical classroom setting. We highly rely on your inputs, on your knowledge, on your expertise, and that's how we will develop a product out of it. And that's usually the approach of the foundation, bringing together different point of views in a setting that actually encourages your creativity and in a setting where you do not fall asleep after like 10 minutes. So that's it about the activities of the foundation. As I said earlier, if you have more questions about what we exactly do in different countries, please feel free to approach me anytime.
Okay. No. Okay, so now let's walk quickly through the program. Does everybody have a copy of the program?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because there you will see how this learning approach will play out in terms of the building blocks. So yesterday is already behind us. Today we had introduction, so you got familiarized with the particular learning approach and what to expect in the upcoming days. Then behind the title Summer in the City is your introduction here. So we will ask you after the break to introduce yourself. No worries, I will guide you through the process, how we will do it. And this is how we mainly spend this morning. Then, after the lunches, and I will maybe say a couple of things about the lunches, we have to be very strict about timing in one session. So we can overgo and we can wiggle with the sessions, but there are some hard cut-off points. Namely, at 12:30 we have to go to the kitchen, and at 6:30 we have to go to the kitchen. So, because the staff members will be waiting for us, and it would be very impolite to let them wait, also especially in the evenings, that might then lead to their delays and they want to go home to their families. So we are very strict when it comes to these two times. Otherwise, again, in the morning, 9 a.m. is something that we should keep of German time in mind here. But otherwise, we can adjust the sessions. So if a session goes longer and we have to postpone another session to the next morning, that's really not a problem, because we see how discussions go, and this is a very fluid process here. So don't worry about that too much. For example, if you're in your group work, might need an additional 15 minutes because you're right now in a very relevant discussion, you flag that to us and we will accommodate for that. So no worries. So the first pillar that we will tackle today, after the introductions of each other, is the philosophy of smart cities.